I'm your
I
host,
mean,
Brad Pitt.
I just hit record, just so you guys know. Welcome to the Mere Nonsense Podcast.
I'm your host, Brad Pitt.
Brienne
Brad
Pitt.
Pitt.
Bradicus Pittacus.
You know, whenever I
Oh,
tell
man.
people my name, like through work or whatever, where I'm like, "Hey, this is Brad," and they're like, "What was your name again?" I'm like, "Brad, like Brad Pitt." And they'd never stop calling me Brad Pitt. I mean, like, not the worst thing for people to call me, but like,
That sounds about right.
that's all I've heard for my entire life.
Eh.
Billy, you had a topic for us today.
Did I?
No, you didn't, and you never do.
No, he
I
did
got a
that
new
one
desk and
time, and
chair.
that was it.
Yes.
That one and only time.
Billy, give me a history fact.
History fact.
Yeah.
Besides was it Canadian officer that ran on shore with a sword and a bicycle? Yes. The Canadians landed on the shores of D-Day in World War II with bicycles because they planned to ride their bikes to their next objective.
That was beautiful.
How did that go for them?
Poetic.
They didn't use the bicycles.
No, they never used them. It turns out that riding your bicycle in sand sucks.
I was listening to the Joe Rogan podcast earlier, and they brought up that I forget, I don't know what year he said it was, but the term bigwigs, it came from when these kings or these people of royalty ended up having syphilis, and it caused their hair to fall off.
Mhm.
So they started wearing wigs, and then everyone else started wearing wigs. Like, the bigger the wig, the more wealthy you
important
are.
were.
Right.
Yeah.
And while these guys are literally just trying to cover up what they lost, everyone else is just like, no, you got it right. You got it right. We don't need our real hair.
You know, like the George Washington wig, right, with like the curl
Yeah.
and all that. You know, that is still what they wear to this day in like UK Parliament or whatever, or like not Parliament. It's like a judge. That's what they would wear every time.
Mhm.
Well,
Interesting.
so the only
Wireless.
why the only podcast or the only topic I have, the only podcast I have is this one. The only topic I have, Malignant.
Yeah, we were we were gonna talk about that, weren't we? Oh shit. Did you see it, Billy?
I did not know.
Oh man.
You
So
don't, you don't have to.
you don't need to. But for anyone, spoilers ahead. This movie. This fucking movie, dude. Mind you, it's from James Wan. Like,
Mhm.
Which
dude.
made us both excited.
Yeah. I mean, even his shittier movies like Dead Silence is pretty good.
I love Dead
But-
Silence.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest, going into the movie, I knew about it, but I never saw any commercials for it, so I didn't know what to expect.
Mhm.
Same.
And jumping into it, dude, like, starts off like really fucking goofy, like what you would see in like those old horror movies that build up a monster where, fucking 30 years before or some shit like that, there's this monster that was at a psych ward or something, and they were like doing tests on it, and it started killing some of the staff, so it was all over the place. So one of the doctors was saying it communicates through like the TV or the radio, because it just apparently couldn't fucking speak.
Mhm.
And at the same time, it's just like super fucking, like, it's evil, like pure evil, and it doesn't want to do anything else but kill.
Mhm.
So what the main doctor ends up saying is, we got to cut the cancer, and literally cut the fucking cancer.
Right.
It's, that was it in the past, and then it just goes into the future and with the main character, and it just builds up to what it was. But like, I don't know, what do you want to input, Brad? Because I mean, unless we want to go from like not scene through scene, but like from that beginning to the end of the movie.
Yeah, I mean we can like set it up and then just kind of skip through. So basically, what Z said with this, like, they don't show us what the monster is, but they show us that it communicates through electronics. And then
Mhm.
basically, okay, we have to cut the cancer. Hard cut to present day. This chick, she comes home not feeling good. She's pregnant. Husband turns out to be an asshole who abuses her and has abused her in the past. So what happens is something happens and he bashes her head into the wall. Okay.
Oh.
She starts bleeding all over. She kicks him out and locks him out of the room.
Mhm.
We get a hard cut to him getting murdered by some creature. And it's like crawling on the walls and shit, and it kills him. And then another hard cut to her waking up in bed, and then her discovering the body. God, I'm having trouble recalling like the middle parts.
Well, before that hard cut to her waking up, she heard it. She heard, or actually no, she was going downstairs. I think she did hear something, but she goes downstairs to check on him,
Oh no,
and then she sees his dead body, and then the thing just starts chasing her.
yeah.
She slams the door, and it like pushes her off the door, and that knocks her out. But she wakes up afterwards on the bed.
In the hospital, I think, right?
Mhm.
Or
Actually, yeah, because
yeah.
they said the neighbors ended up calling the police.
Yeah,
So yeah, she did. Yeah.
Police come in, and then the police are trying to investigate, and they're like, "There's no forced entry. Um, none of this. Like, we have to like try to figure out what's going on with wife."
Mhm.
Yeah.
So then, like some build up where it keeps showing like the monster, like oh, okay, sorry, the monster starts killing people, and every time it kills somebody, it's like one of the doctors from the beginning of the movie,
Yeah.
and every time that it starts to kill the the protagonist, she sees it, like it's like she's like in her bedroom or something, and then she's frozen stuck there, and then she's watching as this thing kills uh like in
Yeah.
front of her, as if she's getting a vision of it in real time.
Mhm.
So this happens 3 times or something like that. um Meanwhile, there was another scene before I get too far ahead where the monster captures this woman. We don't know anything about her. She's a tour guide, and he captures her and leaves her in this, like, it looks like an attic.
Mhm.
Spoiler, it was a fucking attic. It was her attic.
The
The
protagonist.
protagonist attic. Um, I don't know.
Yeah. So it doesn't explain anything until later on in the movie, but that character that ends up getting captured is the mother of the main character.
Biological mother.
Yes, because we end up finding out that the main character is actually adopted,
Oh.
and they start like unraveling her past, trying to figure out what's going on,
Mhm.
and piece by piece, while the cops keep believing it's her that's like doing all these murders because only she knows about this stuff.
Right.
Oh yeah, she's telling the cops that she's had these visions, and
Yes.
the cops are going there, and they're like, "Oh shit, she's right. This person's dead."
Right.
But like the cops aren't really believing her. Um like yes, they're finding these bodies and all that, but they're like, how the fuck does she know, you
She
know?
doesn't have much of
And
an
Yeah.
like,
alibi.
yeah. So obviously they're not gonna believe that it's gonna be, her using her force ghost bullshit, trying to like explain what she saw.
Right.
Uh and then her sister ends up pretty much being detective over there and doing the detective's actual job and looking
Yeah,
through all this shit.
she
Um
sister finds out that they're not biologically related, and she finds that the psych ward or whatever that the protagonist used to go to, she went there, and it's like this abandoned facility, super creepy.
Mhm.
And she's like hearing noises and shit while she's there, but she literally just finds a bunch of tapes and leaves, and we get nothing else. Like,
Oh,
there's no like, oh, there's a monster there, or oh, it's good. No, like it's just, hey, there's like a mouse running by, and then cut to
Yeah.
she has tapes, and that's it.
And then those videos, they end up finding out that it literally was an evil cancer that was attached to the main character's back. So like the back of her head down to like some of her back.
mhm.
And if they like took it off completely, it would end up killing her. So what they ended up doing, some like creepy shit, just ended up pushing that fucking that cancer back in her head and closing the fucking head, but then like taking off the rest of the body that was like connected to the back. And her getting slammed on the back of her head against the wall, that literally opened it up
By
so
her
that
husband
evil
at the
fucking
beginning of the
thing.
movie.
Yeah. Yeah, so that fucking evil thing can come out and it takes control of her. It's like cuz she doesn't know how to like deal with it. So it takes control of
Right.
her fucking backwards, dude.
So she's doing
Backwards.
shit. Okay, so as we're finding out this fucking revelation, she's in jail, and she's in like, so this is like 2021 that it's supposed to
Mhm.
be. They're like, she's in a jail with people that look like they're straight out of the fucking 70s. Like
Like
we know
hookers
it's
and a bunch of
2021
other.
because we're seeing like brand new, like there's like a brand new Toyota Prius or something on the screen, right? But she's
Mhm.
in the jail with like, this black chick all in like disco gear with like the big afro, and then these other chicks that just look like they're straight out of the 70s. What happens? They're bullying her. She's like, my head, and like her head's starting to bleed or whatever.
Oh
It's the
no.
fucking thing coming out back, and literally, like, so think like, this is what the thing fucking does, right? So it takes this. It's wearing a jacket like this, and it's fighting like this. It's like it's killing people backwards.
We got to find out though, like
Oh my god.
some of that looks like it was not like CG.
Mhm.
So I kind of wonder, was the actress like that fucking good to be able to do some kind of movement backwards? Because like when you see her fucking running, the first time you see her running away, you're just like,
Mhm.
what the fuck? Is
can-
she running
Yeah,
backwards?
you can tell
Like,
she's backwards, and that gave it away for me. I was like, oh, it's quite literally her, and that
yeah. It's and like so she's in this jail cell because they believe it's her because the mother, the biological mother, ended up falling through the ceiling of her house when the cops were there. They're just like, oh, it's fucking her. Yeah.
she's like tied up or whatever, and she finally gets herself out. She gets down onto the top of the attic and just shoots through the fucking floor and right in front of the cops, and they're just like, "That's all we need."
Right. It's like, yeah, nothing else. We're just gonna take you to a jail cell
Right.
filled with a bunch of dykes, and like they all start picking on her, and like Brad said, and this fucking thing literally fucking, pulls her hair to the side and the face pops out and she
It's like,
starts
like,
all right, you saw Kingsman, right?
Yeah.
You know how like they were pretty fucking creative about how they were killing each person in that church scene?
Mhm.
It felt kind of like this. Like as soon as the fucking monster comes out, it just starts doing different ways of killing those girls in the jail cell while
so
there's fucking cops watching.
My
the
god.
first kill, the chick is in front of her, and the first kill, she grabs her right here by her neck and just rips it out,
Mhm.
just all over the place,
Yeah.
right? And she's like breaking people's elbows and shit, where you like see the bone coming out, and like it
It's
was
pretty
like,
brutal.
it was brutal, but so fucking stupid because she's doing this shit backwards.
Mm-hmm. And then a
And
cop comes in and she uses one of the bodies as a shield while like going up to him. She ends up fucking the dude up, opens the jail cell, and literally has another fucking the most action-packed fucking scene in that police department. Like the way she takes she literally went John Wick in that fucking scene afterwards.
she killed
She
the
was
entire
just
police department.
yeah. I
God.
don't know if they meant to do this like on purpose to make you laugh, but one of the last things she does is she sees the I think she sees like the last two detectives or some
Detectives.
shit and throws a fucking chair at them and knocks them out with a chair.
Yeah.
Like, you literally just killed a bunch of people with their own weapons, and then you just decided to throw a fucking chair at the last two.
So
That guy.
one thing we skipped over from a little bit earlier in the movie is there was a chase scene between one of the detectives and the girl, right? And
Mhm.
she's like doing parkour, she's like swinging and shit, like all while like the main actress is like scrawny as fuck. Like she doesn't look like she
Mhm.
could do a push up. One of my favorite fucking lines from the movie is if she can do it, or if he can do it, so can I. Like all that strong shit. Like if he could do it, so can
Mhm.
I. And that's a little later in the movie, but um,
Yeah. So after she ends up destroying the whole police department, she goes searching for the mom because the mom
Mhm.
is the one. The mom. So the story behind the mom was she ended up getting raped
at
and
like
ended up having
15.
yeah ended up having the kid. So obviously she didn't. She's a kid. She didn't know or want to even have a kid and take care of it.
Right.
So she ended up putting him up for I think the
It was
um
some type of adoption,
I don't
but
think
when it was
I think it's
born,
the way she came out first. They're just like, no, that thing's disgusting, so take it away. So
right?
they ended up taking it to the psych ward, and that's where ended up happening. But after they closed out and cut off some of the cancer, they did something to like make her memory gone and make her believe that she didn't have that a part of her.
Oh yeah,
So no one ever knew about that up until that point.
but so the thing would like sometimes leak through and talk to her inside her head, and would tell her to do things as a kid, like, "Hey, go beat up little. Hi, Chloe.
She's just like, hey guys.
Hey, can I
Chilling.
be a guest?" Um, so she would like go through like in the back of the head and be like, "Hey, go fuck up little Billy. Take little Billy's lunch money," and she
Kill
would.
these guys.
Yeah.
I don't know if she killed
Yeah.
him when she was a kid, but she definitely beat the fuck out of some of them. Um,
And
Oh my god.
but
yeah,
then another point, the whole electric thing. I think there was like some electroshock therapy that she went through.
something,
That
yeah.
this thing then like started being able to control electricity. So like one of the reasons, like one of the things where they tried to make it believe like it wasn't her was when she
Mhm.
was in the room, it was using electricity to talk through someone's phone. But obviously, we know now that it was just a thing in the
There's
back of her head controlling
yeah.
that.
Right.
It was such a what a weird fucking idea. But like we'll get back to that in a minute. Let's just finish off this story. So ends up finding the mom and the sister is there. Come to find out that the
Watching the
reason
videos.
yeah. No.
Oh
No,
no,
the
the
biological mom that's in the hospital.
right, you're right. The
Because
stepmom and
after
the
yeah, so after the police department, she ends up finding the biological mom in the
Mhm.
hospital, and that's where the sister is as well. And come to find out in that whole process of like, you know, it almost killing both of them, she finds out that like the only reason that the thing didn't come out sooner was because she felt love from her sister. So it's just like, now I finally have someone, and they don't need to be
Mhm.
blood. They don't need to be my literal blood for me to actually love someone. And that was like part of her constantly wanting to have kids because she just kept having
okay,
miscarriages because
yeah,
of the cancer.
Mhm.
And it wasn't her fault. It was just that cancer's
and
fault.
the
But
abuse, but
that, yeah,
combination of
that's
the
true.
two.
Um, so she ends up turning it around, obviously taking control of it.
Wait, hold on.
And
Sorry, pause on that part. Can we talk about how she did it? Where it was
yeah,
some like Jedi bullshit of just like, no, I have control now. It's my
yeah,
body.
yeah. I
And
mean, that's literally that.
so, but
Less
before,
dramatic.
okay, so beforehand, the when she's backwards, right?
Mhm.
She takes like one of those heavy like hospital beds and throws it onto the biological or the stepsister or whatever, and like smashes it into the smashes her into the ground. So this thing's like stuck on her, and then she goes up and takes a gun and is about to shoot, the sister, and then the whole Jedi like, no, it's mine happens. So then we get this little like thing of she shoots the sister in the head,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like, haha, you know, I have won. I am Mojo Jojo. I am the victor. Right?
Mojo Jojo.
Psych. That is her taking the body back and being like, nope, I just made that all up. It's actually my body now, and
Right.
pushes it back in or whatever the fuck, and like tucks it away for good or whatever. Like she has control over the
Yeah,
body now.
complete control now.
And then
What
that
the hell?
is where what I said, the bullshit line of, oh, if he could do it, so can I. Lifts this was probably like a couple £100. Like those like it's like one of those
medical
hospital
equipment.
hospital
Mhm.
bed with like the full like heater on it and everything. Like probably at least 150 pounds. Lifts it
Right.
up like it's no fucking problem.
Yeah. And then, you know, cue to like the cliche ending of a horror movie where it's just like everything's good.
Right, the
Or
sister's
whatever.
hug
Right.
or whatever the fuck. Credits. No repercussion, even though the blood is quite literally on this chick's hands.
Right.
Oh no, because it's the person in the back of my head who oh, guys, don't worry. I have full control now. Don't worry.
Oh my god.
What a weird fucking movie, like all around.
Another-
I wonder, do they actually give James Wan like full creative control over this? Because
He was the director, right? So
Right.
that means that he got a prompt, right? He got all of this in writing, and he just made it come to life.
okay, yeah, I get that part, but there's a lot of times, like I'm gonna go back to Dead Silence. There's a lot of times when the studios will make those changes if they want to.
Right.
And almost like at least 90% of the movies out there, the studios have their say in what's changed and what stays and
Mhm.
all that. So like Dead Silence, if you look up the original storyline that James Wan had for it was actually a cooler storyline than what they gave us because you know, studios wanted to have their say and like changed up some things, and that's what we ended up getting. But that's why I'm wondering. I'm wondering if they literally pulled a fucking Zack Snyder and gave James Wan like full creative control of that movie no matter what.
Right.
If they did, man, what the fuck was he thinking, dude? Like I don't understand. It was all over the place. Just from what we told you, that was all
It's
over
already
the place,
all over the
man.
fucking
That's
place.
just the story. We haven't even mentioned the camera angles that we got. We haven't mentioned the music. Like there was some legit like what should have been like picture Insidious, right? Where something happens and it's that creepy like right? In the
Mhm.
place of that with their quote unquote jump scares, it was like 2010s like dubstep electronic bullshit that would just play in the background.
Yeah.
Like you're in a strip club in the early
Mhm.
20
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
thousands.
The fucking the score, the soundtrack, the music that they had throughout the movie, it was like it was like a mixture between the Saw music and Dead Silence music.
It's some shit that I would expect out of like, you know, Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, but if they filmed it in the 90s.
Oh my god.
Like
That's that's kind of a weird comparison. I'll take it though.
it's
I'll
like
take
whack
it.
it's whack electronic music mixed with some horror beats in it. It's fucking weird. But
Yeah, everything about that movie just didn't make sense.
It
Not
sounds
one
like it
bit.
was all over the place.
It's
It sounds more like a comedy than a horror movie.
it was an accidental comedy. Not gonna lie.
Accidental comedy.
Like just the you couldn't help but at least chuckle every time you saw the fucking movement from the monster. It was so weird seeing it move backwards, do everything backwards, literally fucking jump from wall to wall, crawl up on the ceiling and stuff like that. Like god damn, dude.
I'm reading a interview with James Wan on the right now on the movie.
Yeah,
So
there's
the question was from inception to what we're seeing on screen, how did the story change along the way? And I'm curious about the editing process. How did it possibly change in the James Ron responds, in inception of it, my wife came to me with this really crazy sort of medical condition, right? This anomaly. I remember going through it. She did a lot of medical research on it, and I was really taken by it. I was really fascinated. Um, and from that, I looked at what naturally, as my horror movie mind, what I immediately was attracted to was possibly the story. So he actually did come up with this shit. It started from there. We went through different ideas of what the story and what it could become and what kind of movie it could become. Then at some point, it's just started becoming more real. It became a full blown story. Um, Talking about his past with Dead Silence, Death Sentence, where I was allowed to make these films that were a lot more gritty and visceral, and I just felt natural. This particular concept and story really lend itself to it. And we went along with it. In terms of editing, the trickiest part was we shot a lot of stuff that was written in there, but in editing, you start to question yourself, like, am I having too much of a concept this way? So he did some like tweaking to it, but this was his story. What the fuck?
yeah, no, man, that was a weird fucking ride.
That's 2 hours of my life I don't get back, by the way.
I wonder I wonder how different it would be if I was like fucking high or if I was, on on something watching that movie.
So
Maybe I'd
it'd probably be
understand
a
it better.
lot
Maybe
different.
maybe I'd like it a lot more. Who
Is
knows?
that a dude coming out of her head, bro?
Bro, but like, what if that's just like, you know, like a play on words for like, there's always this bad side of us, bruh.
It's deep. No. Ah man, I fuck. Just start working on Aquaman too, dude. Just get away from this
Stop
movie.
Let Amber Heard shit on your bed.
Maybe that's what he needed. He needed Amber Heard to shit on his bed and give him a little more insight on life. Some enlightenment, if you will. Yeah, that was the fucking movie, dude. Oh god.
Um, hey man. Okay, so me and Z were talking about this too. Would I rather watch that or Open House again?
Open house.
Now,
I'd rather
maybe
watch Malignant over Open House.
my
That bad,
only
huh?
reasoning for Open House is because it's a shorter film. Now, I'm still holding out hope that Open House 2 will tie things together and make it so much better. Do I think that's going to happen? No. It could. Again, we
Nice.
mentioned
You
it
know,
before with
what
the
though?
Ouija movies.
I gotta give it to him for not throwing in like 30 jump scares like some of his other movies. Cause that's technically where a bunch of like, the Conjuring universe movies alone. Just a lot of jump scares in them.
I
Mhm.
I do think that the Conjuring movies balance between jump scares and actual creepy feeling, though. I appreciate that about those films. Um, I think Insidious was dependent on the jump scares, but outside of that, it's just a really good story.
Yeah. But Insidious at that time, just like Conjuring, we didn't get anything like that.
Yeah,
And that's why they were so good.
those were new. Like
Yeah.
that's the first time we experienced it. Same thing with Paranormal Activity. You know, like we've had
Yeah.
found footage shit before, but not like that.
Not like that. The
Mhm.
last time any found footage was that good was Blair Witch.
Have you? I'm assuming you both have watched Blair Witch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was a kid.
Have you watched it since?
No.
I remember a few years back, I ended up watching uh, what's it called? I kind of like went into the lore of it, just like trying to find out like what made them want to make this movie, and
It turned
I ended
out
up
to
getting
just
like I ended up just also getting like spark notes out of the first movie because they ended up making a sequel or something like that,
yeah.
but not the original people, obviously, but
Okay,
this
me with my taste now, if I me watching it again a couple years ago, I hated it. It was a
Hmm.
slow burn, especially now that you know what happens at the end. Like it's really nothing scary happens until the very end of the movie.
yeah.
Um, I it wasn't it just a school project at first, like a cheap, low budget school project that turned into an actual movie.
Um,
I think I remember hearing something
I
like
don't know
that.
about the school project part, but
Definitely low
it
budget.
was definitely like really low budget, and they
Yeah.
managed to get so much money out of that too.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
they did a good job with what they had, and again, for that time, that's a good movie.
yeah, I think what made me want to watch it again years ago was this YouTube channel called How It Should Have Ended. I don't know if you guys have seen those videos, but
You know,
they did one for the Blair Witch, and when it's supposed to pan over to the witch, and then like the cameraman just gets knocked out, and the camera's like kind of at a corner and just watching some dude look at the corner, and then how it should have ended is just like cut, you guys fucked this up. Come on, we were supposed to pan over to the witch, scare everyone, and then that's it. The movie was
oh
supposed to
yeah,
be over,
you don't
but
get the monster at
no.
all.
No, you guys had to drop the fucking camera,
Yep.
and now this is all we've got to show. But yeah,
Yeah, I just remember with like how it should have ended was like, hey, we got to take this ring to Isengard or whatever to Mordor. Um, how do we do it? And then just the birds carrying Frodo. Frodo has the ring and drops the ring in the lava. Just quick little drive by. That's all they needed to do.
yeah, pretty much.
Is okay. So to expand on that a little bit, no creature other than like the hobbits, right, could have carried the ring because they would have been too tempted.
Mhm.
Same thing goes for the birds. Why didn't they just carry Frodo?
Uh, Too many people, too many orcs, and then
Where
But still would have called to them even if they were on the back.
it's a
Just like it
volcano,
called to
right?
Schmeagol.
It's a volcano, right? Just again, you're flying super high, drive by, boop.
yeah, yeah,
That's
just
it.
drop him,
That's
Drop
it.
the
drop him in
hobbit if you
there.
have to.
Like there weren't any guards at the actual like opening of Mordor.
Which, don't you think that there should have been some kind of guards there?
It,
Like, if
At
that's the
what?
one place that can destroy the fucking
the
ring, why don't you have
actual
anyone guarding it?
opening of Mount Doom.
Oh,
Sorry,
Mount Doom.
Mount Doom. The opening where they walked in. Where are the fucking guards?
Well, everyone did get flushed out to the front,
They were all at the Black Gate.
so no one would have really known
But you
if there
did
were guards
okay.
there or not.
But like mobster movies, right? You got some dude who's got a hit against him, has his little safe room or whatever. He always has two thugs with him, right?
There's always some kind of bodyguard.
There has to be like so. I'm making the comparison because take like the bodyguard, right?
Mhm.
He is Mount Doom because like essentially like I'm thinking of this as like Sauron's heart, right? Mount Doom is Sauron's heart, and Frodo
Mhm.
just walked in and stabbed it, right?
Yep.
You would think that you would have a guard there at all times to protect the one place that something bad could happen to you at.
Hmm. Totally agree.
Plot armor would have, came through and fucked it up.
That's what I'm
Plot
saying.
armor.
Like it's all plot armor,
That
you know.
was
So
the
it
plot
would
armor.
have, I mean, there, you know, it would have just been the same thing, whether there was bodyguard there or not.
Again,
You're just like overthinking a guy.
I'm underthinking it, dog. They
You're overthinking.
overthought it. Tolkien
That was like the
Tolkien went
most
through
simple
how
fucking way to like end the movie, and you're just like, why didn't they just do
Tol-
it this way?
Tolkien went through how many languages when they could have just again bird. uh,
Don't need to make up languages if your movie's a short.
right. I don't know. I still like the movie. Fuck it. I mean, same. I guess you could say that about any movie, anyways. I just like to nitpick Lord of the Rings because there are so many plot holes that you could fill in with those.
Well, what other ones?
In Lord of the Rings specifically,
Yeah.
I'm not too.
The king just like wanting to kill his son.
Yeah, like that whole thing was a little weird. I mean, he was like mad though, I guess.
Yeah, he went mad.
Insane.
Well, so did fucking what's his name in Rohan.
What?
He went mad too.
He was
Possessed by fucking Saruman or whatever it was.
That was different kind of mad.
Different kind of plot armor.
I don't know why. Okay, so why? Here's one that I have. So Gandalf is essentially
An XP whore.
Essentially a god, right? Or like the equivalent of like an angel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why? He has like direct link to the source of his power. Why isn't he more OP than he actually is?
What do you mean he's got direct link?
He's essentially like a god, right?
No, he's not a god.
Okay, call him a demigod. He's
at best, sure.
At best, but that should make him fucking strong, right?
Yeah.
Which he is strong. He showed a couple things. You know, his shiny little flashlight, and then he fought a Balrog. That was it.
He was technically more supposed to be a
support healer,
and no, like
yes,
he was just supposed to go around and like bring knowledge about Sauron, pretty much.
Right. Okay. So you bring knowledge.
That's what he was literally put there for.
But you flex your powers, and then you go, hey, I ain't gonna use these though. Like, hey, you know that thing I just did? Not gonna do it again. It was kind of cool though, right? Come on, dog.
Made you think, huh?
Really?
Won't be acting up around me, huh? You won't be doing that thing around me again, will you?
If they would have done that with Gandalf, it would have pretty much been like Rey from Star Wars.
In what way?
In the way where she will literally be OP in whatever situation she's in.
I agree with that. But the only difference between the two is Gandalf is thousands of years old or whatever, has all this experience. Sure. All this experience and shit, you know, he's trained for this shit, whatever. Rey, I vouch for Rey a little bit, just because she is a Skywalker, and we have seen that just because you're a Skywalker, it makes you strong.
And she's the granddaughter of Palpatine.
Right? She's not a Skywalker, sorry, but she chose to be.
She identified.
She's a Palpatine,
sorry, but she's a Palpatine. Is more what I meant. Right. Like we saw, just because you're the kid of someone strong, you're gonna be strong.
In comparison to both of them, all they both had to do is just think about it.
Just think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Just think about it. Look, all she thought about was, lifting a rock with, whatever magic she was using, and that's it.
Whatever magic? You mean literally the Force?
Yeah, whatever magic she was using.
Gandalf let the party go ahead and earned all of the XP and item drops on his own, or by himself, and then showed up at the next D&D session with new swag.
The one thing that frustrates me about, the more you look at it with the newer Star Wars movies, is the lightsaber fighting scenes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's cool for the casual audience member to watch because it looks intense, and shit. Why are you swinging something made of literally light like it's a fucking 200-pound battle axe? Like they're putting they're making it look like there's so much weight to it. Like that's just a handle with
When
light.
fucking Obi-Wan and
Well-
Anakin just like did it like if it was a baton.
Right.
Were
The
they
way it's
doing it
supposed to be.
because it was supposed to be heavy, or because they were weary of the dangers that it would be of hurting them?
So the way they were swinging it is they were swinging it as if they needed to put force, like not force, right, but like strength into it
Mm-hmm.
when you don't kind of need to.
I was just saying maybe they
Yeah, but
just
like,
wanted to be
how
careful
how
with
do
it, so they're
you know
slinging
you don't
over.
kind of need to if you're not an actual Jedi?
Because
You've never actually
Handle-
swung a real lightsaber.
handle light.
Okay, but like, did you see Kylo Ren's lightsaber with the sideways little lightsaber things?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Hey, that bitch was heavy. Just look at it.
That just means he put it together poorly.
Exactly.
And his kyber crystal is probably shit.
Exactly.
Why it looked more like a fire instead of a lightsaber.
It was unstable.
He was too busy with mommy and daddy issues. He didn't need to deal with the kyber crystal.
He's too busy.
He overcame those in the end. What do you mean? Showed great character development.
Did he though?
No,
Did he though?
not in time, at least.
All he needed was a little Force Ghost conversation with his pops. That's all he needed.
Now, so sidetrack. So this is actually kind of cool, but it also doesn't make sense. In the new Star Wars Visions, I haven't actually seen the episodes. I've just been seeing there's this dude who takes out basically what's a katana lightsaber. So he has it sheathed, right? And he has it down here like he's a ninja, and then unsheathes it, and it's just red lightsaber all the way out. That's so fucking cool, but it makes
I
absolutely
think
no
I've
sense.
seen that video that you're talking about.
It's so
Because
cool.
that sounds familiar.
Okay, but like when he's doing that and he's like pushing the hilt up,
Yeah.
do you think he just like flattens the fuck out of his thumb after doing it so many times and like burning it? It's just
Yes.
literally like a little flat thumb at this point.
Just has a nub now.
I
don't know. I just thought that was
those
cool.
are the questions I need answered.
Because, like, as a kid, that's the kind of shit where I'm like, man, like, what if there was, like, a battle axe lightsaber? You know? Like, shit like that. Like, that's the kind of shit that I like, and that's what Star Wars Visions is doing.
Could you
I was gonna say,
imagine
don't they have
if in
stuff like that in that
World
show?
War One, the fucking LTs ended up having battle axes? All they had were their pistols and battle axes, while the rest of the platoon had their fucking rifles and shotguns or whatever.
Fun fact about the trench gun: Hitler tried to get two weapons banned from use from the Geneva Convention: trench guns and the Churchill crocodile flamethrower tank.
I love your history knowledge, Billy.
You know,
Give us more.
I had some history teachings. You know, give you more history.
Give us more.
Give me some more history, Billy.
Give us
Let's see
more.
what else is there.
You give us history, I give us Bible shit, Z gives us Lord of the Rings knowledge.
Well,
Big maybe.
Erwin Rommel.
I'm not knowledgeable like that.
You literally memorized the Silmarillion.
I know the basics. I know the
memorized the
basics.
Silmarillion.
I know the spark notes.
In World War One, Erwin Rommel served as an infantry officer and actually wrote a book called Infantry Tactics that is actually a popular read by American officers.
Okay. You know, since we're on that subject of war, I actually had a small conversation with Billy about this. Brad, have you seen First Blood?
No.
Rambo 1.
I'm
No.
sure.
The first time watching it for me was last weekend. That was fucking nuts, dude. So, it starts off with him walking towards his friend's home, the address that his friend gave him. He was part of his unit, and he talks to this lady that's there. I think that was his mom, and asks about him. He's like, "Here, look, I have a picture to show that I was with him. What happened to him?" He's like, "Well, he's dead. He died from cancer from over there at the war, at the Vietnam War." And so he's just like, "Oh shit." you later find out in the movie that that was the last person in his unit that he thought survived because everyone else had died off. So now it's just him from that unit, where they were technically like a black ops, like special operations type of unit, and they've done some fucked up shit, some really fucked up shit over there. So he felt like super alone now and just didn't have anyone to like, you know, I guess compare like to understand him pretty
Yeah,
much.
he didn't have anyone that he could like share his
Relate
experiences
to.
with.
Yeah.
Right.
And so he starts walking into town, the closest town, and the sheriff sees him and he's just like this thing has stuck with me since watching that movie where he sees the type of green jacket that they give him. And he's like, I see that American flag and that jacket, and that tells me one thing, and I don't want you in my city. And I brought it up to Billy, and I'm just like, I didn't know that like soldiers were treated so bad after that war, and like seeing
Mhm.
something like that, I'm like, what? Like, how? I don't know if you ever dove deep into how bad they were treated, Billy, but I think you have a better idea of like how of explaining it.
So, I mean, what really brought about? So, I guess to compare it, right? You have a lot of major conflicts from just the American Revolution all the way up to at that point in time Vietnam, and even in Korea before. So, like Korea and all the battles before, all the wars before, there wasn't really any kind of media coming back home. They didn't have cameras on the ground. They didn't have pictures being taken. So a lot of it was, hey, like we just need to kill these guys and we need to win. That's how a lot of people looked at it. So when the soldiers came back, it was, hey, you did exactly what we needed you to. Like you're awesome. You're the best. They gave them all kinds of stuff, benefits. A lot of them were able to not necessarily like mingle back into civilian society, but they got treated really well. Whereas with Vietnam, there's a lot of media coming in. There's a lot of media coverage. There's photographers, not just in the military, but also from news stations and all that. There's reporters coming out, right? And what they see is the conditions of not just the soldiers out there, but what they're doing. They see that infamous photo of I think it was a Southern Vietnamese officer shooting a civilian. Well, the one where the guy's got his pistol. I don't know if you guys know what it is. He's got his pistol pointed to the back of a Vietnamese man on his knees, and he's like shooting his brains out. Very popular photo, and a lot of like American civilians saw that and were like, that's stupid. Like that sucks. We don't need to be there. Get us out of there. Why are we doing anything about that? And you've got the whole like we need to stop communists, but then you've got the whole we don't even need to be there. Why are we there in the first place? Um, and it just led to a lot of Vietnam veterans being treated terribly. A lot of them went homeless. A lot of them, like their own family, would disown them or like write them out of their wills, would try to take everything away from them. Lots of problems. And you don't really see as much of that in today's world. Like you see some of it, don't get me wrong. There's still a lot of why are we in Afghanistan? Why are we in Iraq and all that? Um, but it's a lot smaller scale than it was for the Vietnam War.
Yeah, I mean, Vietnam War was just a bad war in general, and
Right.
it sucks that military is treated like that. But that's also and it's not necessarily their faults, right? It's
Hmm.
the supreme leaders that were in charge at the time, and they're the ones footing all of it, right?
Yep.
I mean, it's all politics, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, all politics.
Well,
Like it was even politics to not hit outside. Like, I mean, the biggest thing and one of the probably biggest things for defeat from the Vietnam War was the Ho Chi Minh Trail, which was a trail that went through Laos, Cambodia, and other places. But we didn't target that at all. Like you could see in the movie We Were Soldiers We Were Soldiers, they're riding in at night to resupply with ammo, carry out wounded, and all that, and you just see fires all along the line, and it's the Ho Chi Minh Trail, which they're not allowed to hit. Vital supply line, but because the president and the all supreme beings at that time decided not to attack it, that they weren't going to just level it or anything.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, and also, I mean, U.S. has also committed some war crimes, and to the U.S., it's essentially a chalk line that they just keep kind of moving backwards, where they're like, "Oh, that wasn't a war crime. Trust me, it's fine. You know
Right.
that one they deserved it. You know, and that one was needed. You know, and it's always been a thing in war where it's like on each side, right, where you don't kill medics. Like they, you know, that's a big thing. Like if you capture a medic, you know, you try to keep them alive, do stuff like that. You know, you don't purposely target medic camps, you know, things like that. Like that is an actual
Hospitals or anything like that.
It's an actual war crime, and most nations follow that. The U.S. hasn't at some points, but obviously other nations haven't as well. Like even right now, like with the Afghanistan shit, or like the Taliban shit going on. Like they're committing war crimes every fucking day, but they're not following anybody's rules.
Right.
Also, China has already said that they're going to back the Taliban, which is crazy. Or not they say they're not going to back them, but they say they are their closest allies.
It's just so. I mean, first off, like who created the Taliban? Right, the U.S. did.
Right.
Taliban was a bunch of people that we took in as kids, and trained, gave them weapons, money, supplies, etc. And we're like, hey, go do things. And then they did things, and they did things really well.
Too well.
And now, yeah, too well.
Yeah.
Oh, war is a touchy subject, and I don't think the U.S. has ever been in the right in anything they've ever done. But
I will. A little sidetrack from that. I will say I saw a picture. It was like a full picture of a unit from their supposed new special forces unit of the Taliban. And it was like this is our new unit, special forces, blah blah blah. And in the picture, you just see one of the guys wearing a helmet backwards.
Every single picture, and so there's one picture specifically that I'm thinking of, but I've seen multiple where top comment was there is not a thought between any of these. Like every single picture of anyone in the Taliban, all of them look like they have extra chromosomes or are missing all of their fucking brain cells. They all look stupid. Like there is something not right in all of these guys' heads. And it's the like I'm sure there's some normal guys out there, but like most of the people that are in charge of that shit, like they're just mindless killers. That's all they want to be.
Yep.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's a lot of those in every part of the world.
I want Seth Rogen and
James Franco
to make a movie.
Interview Part 2
with the Taliban.
Did you guys ever see that? I never got around to watching that movie.
It's such a shit fucking movie.
All I remember is the Eminem coming out as gay.
Yep.
Like, I'm gay. Like that clip goes around so much that I've seen it multiple times, but that's the only thing I've seen from that movie.
Just fully brushes over the fact that he just called himself gay.
Yeah. wait. Say that again?
You know, there was a while where people thought that Eminem was homophobic because of his music, and Sir Elton John himself came out and vouched for Eminem. It was like, I know this man. You know, like he
son. Imagine having Elton John have your back.
Of all people, Elton John, yeah.
Right. Elton John's a cool dude.
Yeah.
On paper. Is he dead? Is he dead?
Isn't he?
I don't
Wasn't
think
he murdered?
Oh, that's a good question.
He's not murdered.
You're thinking of the other guy.
I'm thinking of John Lennon.
I think that's
I
yeah.
don't know. Yeah, no, Elton John's still kicking. He's
Somebody was
74.
murdered.
Elton John was
one
in
of
a
the
movie like
Beatles-
2 years ago, Billy.
One of the Beatles were murdered, right?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, like outside his house. That's probably what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. Tom Cruise. People thought he was gay as soon as he got divorced.
I mean, he's not.
John Lennon was shot.
Yeah, John Lennon.
Yeah, no. Elton John, Billy, was in Kingsman 2. or Kingsman 1, one of the two.
It's been so long since I've seen Kingsman.
It was the second one, because the first one they had Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
That Kingsman, that third one looks pretty good. That's the prequel one.
I don't know if I've probably seen the trailer, but I don't remember it.
I think we've all talked about it too.
Well, we did earlier, the Kingsman.
We 100% could have talked about it, and I don't fucking remember it. And that's the nice thing about not talking to you guys for a while. I never remember anything I say, so I can just keep going on the podcast.
Right.
How much shit have we actually reiterated on this podcast? You know?
Probably everything.
Probably a lot, yeah.
What episode are we on? We're probably on like the 14th episode now.
See what episode are we on?
25, something like that.
Skip last
25.
Week. It was better than 24?
45. You know why they made that joke?
What?
So in that SpongeBob episode, when they're like, you know what's better than, was it like, what, a 24 or 25?
Yeah.
It's actually a reference to back when Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network were on channels 24 and 25.
Channels, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Nickelodeon.
And then it eventually went into, what was it, 46 and 47?
For us,
yeah. They've changed a lot.
Yeah, I could name you pretty much like all of the main channels that I like. So Disney Channel was channel 54. Comedy Central was 42. AMC was 41. We actually had a channel 45 when we were kids, which was Sci-Fi, and then they got rid of Sci-Fi, and that became channel 166 when you had fucking Comcast. And then 46 and 47 were Nickelodeon and
Channel 58 FX,
channel 59 BET.
What was was there a cartoon or just like a childhood show that you didn't like but a lot of people did?
Invader Zim.
I loved Invader Zim. How fucking dare you?
Oh boy, here we go.
Every time that show would come on, it just creeped me out. I was like, this is gross. I'm turning this shit off.
I can get that.
Mine was Hey Arnold.
Oh, right.
See, I liked Hey Arnold, but not to the extent that a lot of people probably did.
Okay,
Hey
so
Arnold was complete
did anyone
trash.
actually like Hey Arnold, or did they watch it and dealt with it until the next better show came on?
Good question, because that's
Probably
what I
that
did
one.
with King of the Hill.
I never fucking watched King of the Hill because that shit was so bad.
Well, dude, because that was poor
What do you
people
mean?
cartoons.
Propane and propane accessories.
that was for us kids that didn't have cable.
Yeah, it's true. I can't watch King of the Hill to this day. I tried watching. Yeah. I don't know if it was with you.
I showed him. Yeah, I showed you one episode, and that was the one where that's my purse.
That's my purse. I don't know you.
That Bobby that said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bobby. Yeah, because they took him to self-defense classes, but it was a self-defense class for women.
Yeah.
Mm.
So it's like, that's my purse. I don't know you. Kicks him in the nuts. And then, all right, and like the biggest fucking plot armor was his mom getting kicked multiple times in the cooch and not being affected by it.
Yeah, man.
You're telling me that a female can get kicked in the cooch and not feel anything, dog?
It's gonna hurt.
It'll
Guaranteed.
hurt. It'll hurt as if you got kicked anywhere else to them, typically, right?
I don't fucking
I
know.
don't know. I'm not a female.
Like it's like they're like if you punch him in the boob, like that hurts. Like that hurts them bad. Like that's a bad spot for them. But like
right.
And the
Fair.
Cooch, I don't know. But yeah, Invader Zim. I was telling Billy, I wish so. I have not watched final season of Futurama, but I have watched every episode of Futurama kind of unintentionally. I used to turn on Comedy Central all the time, and there would be a Futurama episode on, and I just watch. And then I remember trying, like when I got Hulu or Netflix or whatever, pop it on. I'd be like, oh, I kind of want to watch Futurama. Let's see if there's an episode I haven't watched. Click to an episode, watched it. Click to an episode, watched it. I watched every episode of fucking Futurama out of order, and I don't know if there's any that I missed, except for the final season. But
I don't really remember anything from Futurama. I'd have to watch it all over again.
It's all a blur, but if you start an episode, I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, this is the one where the dog dies.
Wow, spoilers.
Spoilers. 20 years later. Fuck.
This is the one where you find out that Bender's actually Mexican.
I remember that episode.
God, Bender.
Where Bender gets
character.
a shiny gold ass.
Bite my shiny metal ass.
I'm kind of out, boys. What about you?
Yeah, same. I was about to say. That was good, man.
I mean, we bitched about Malignant for 20 plus minutes, but you know, is what it is.
Look, it needed to be said.
Billy, you should watch it.
You should. It was explained to you, but you still need to watch it.
We can all watch it together.
No.
No.
You're on your own, Billy.
When Open House 2 is announced, we have to go to each other's house. Whatever we got to do, we got to watch it.
Fuck. All right. Might as well.
I guess this is actually episode 15. So thank you for whoever stuck around, and love you guys.
Still sticking around.
Yeah. This is fun, man.
Deuces.
Deuces.
Later.
So far away.